All right, let's chant together. Om Bhadram Karnevih Shrunuyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Maksha Viryajatraha Sthirair Anga Is Tushtuvag Shastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Shastina Indro Vridra Shravaha Shastina Pusha Vishwavedaha Shastinastarksho Arishtanemihi Shastino Brihaspati'r Dadhatu Om Shantihi Shantihi Shantihi. All right, so we are in the second section of the first chapter of Mundaka Upanishad. In this second chapter, the discussion is all about rituals, fire rituals. Fire rituals as a representative of matters of in the domain of lower knowledge. Okay, lower knowledge. Lower knowledge is everything other than the spiritual domain, what they can give us and what they cannot. That is the idea. So in the first mantra, the Upanishad say that these rituals are true. It helped many people in the past. And if you do it properly, they can yield results. Then it added, there are some conditions. Conditions are that you have to do them perfectly, properly. If they are not done perfectly, along with all the auxiliary rituals, then they won't give their benefits. That is, the promised material benefits. Then, mantra 4, 5, 6 that we studied last, how the rituals give us post-mortem benefits. Post-mortem benefit is how these rituals, successful performance of these rituals lead one to the highest heaven. That how, when after the death of the physical body, how the subtle body moves through different lokas, different planes of existence, and how those deities which were offered oblations in the fire rituals, how they welcome and show us. They accord grand welcome. Come here, come here. This is your well-earned heaven. That's what we have learned so far. But now the Upanishad wants to show us that even the highest material enjoyment that we can think of, which are available in the heaven, that are also of transitory nature. And if someone thinks that these are enough, there is nothing more to be done, then there are problems. There are problems. So we should always remember that nowadays, we don't do rituals to go to heaven. We have to interpret them in our modern context. The modern context, the idea is only materialistic goal keeping only materialistic goal and pursuing materialistic goals, thinking that these are enough, these are what we need, that is a sure cause of problems. That is the shift of the Upanishad now. So we shall take up the mantras. Transitory nature of material benefits. 1.2.7, which I have already shared with you. Plavā hi ete adṛḍhā yajñarūpā aṣṭādaśoktam avaraṃ yeṣu karma. Etat shreyo ye abhinandanti mūḍhā jarāmṛtyuṃ te punaḥ eva api yanti. The rituals done without any spiritual goal by 18 people are fragile and temporary. Those ignorant people who get elated with the idea this is the highest undergo old age and death over and over again. So one thing, this is not the criticism of the ritual per se, but the rituals done without any spiritual goal by 18 people. aṣṭādaśoktam. 18 people do this kind of rituals. So who are these 18 people? Has this mantra raised any curiosity about 18 people? Suddenly where 18 people came from? The mantra says these rituals done without spiritual goal, done by 18 people. Yeah. Betty, go ahead. Oh, just a minute. I have to unmute. Yes, Betty?
The priest who performed the ritual.
18 priests?
Yes.
Okay. Close enough. Any other try?
I
Maharaj,
think
this is the performer and his wife.
And?
And the
Performer and his wife and 16 helping priests.
Right. The performer and wife, they together, the couple, and 16 priests. So who are these 16 priests?
I think karmendriyas, jnanendriyas.
No, it is not anything implicit. It is explicitly really 18 people. Okay. Okay, here are these 18 people. Okay. Here are these 18 people. So in Vedic Yaga, not the Agnihotra, which is done daily, which used to be done daily by the couple, husband and wife together, but other big ones, even those which were done in every 3 months, Chaturmasya, there used to be 16 priests. So 4 types of the priests of the priests for the rituals are called Rittik. Okay, Rittik. Why they are called Rittik? Does anybody know? Any idea why they are called Rittik? Rittik. Why they are called Ritvik?
I think they recite Rigveda.
No. Okay. Rito jajati iti ritti. Rito means ritu. Ritu means the seasons. Okay. 6 seasons. So those who used to do sacrifice in all the 6 seasons, they were called Ritvik. Okay. Ritu means the seasons, 4 seasons, 6 seasons, howsoever you interpret it. And those who used to do, they were called Ritvik. Okay. So the priests of Rig Veda, priests of the Vedas who used to do rituals, officiating priests, they were called Ritvik. Okay. And there used to be 4 types of Ritvik. 4 types. Each representing one Veda, 4 Vedas. One was Hota. Hota was from Rig Veda. One who invokes the particular deities or devatas to be present in the sacrifice. How did they invoke? By reciting the mantras of Rig Veda. Then there used to be Udgata. Udgata represented Samaveda. And you remember Samaveda? Samaveda is Rig Veda, mostly Rig Veda, but the same mantras were sung. Rather than chanted, they were sung. So Udgata used to sing aloud the hymns of Samaveda. Why? To please and glorify the invoked deities. He was continuously singing from Samaveda these songs praising the deities. Then there used to be adṛḍhā. Adṛḍhā was from represented Yajurveda. They continuously chants the prosaic section of Yajurveda. And he is also the charge of the physical details of the sacrifice, such as building the altar, preparing the pavilion, prepare the sacrificial vessels, to fetch wood, water, to light the fire, all of this. So he performs his specific duties, paying extra attention to his various aspects and meaning. And that is why his participation in yajna is quite prominent. Adṛḍhā. Okay, adṛḍhā. Finally, Brahma. Brahma is not to be confused with Brahma, the deity. Brahma is the chief, overall overseer of the entire ritual. Brahma represents Atharva Veda and supervises the overall functioning of yajna. And Brahma does not chant usually mantras. Brahma sits and quietly observes that whether everything is going right. And if there is any problem, any mistake that has happened during the sacrifice, immediately Brahma's role was to correct it by reciting the prescribed mantras from the Atharva Veda. So Brahma was superior to all other Ritiks. And Brahma was the one who had to have complete knowledge of all the 4 Vedas. Okay. But it makes only then 4, right? Only 4 priests we have got. We have to get 12 more. We have to get 12 more. So as it happened, each ritvik or each priest used to have three assistants, okay, to assist them in their work. Who are they? So these are of no particular value, just for information I am sharing with you. So Hota, the one who was master in Rig Veda, they used to have three ritviks called Maitra Varuna, Acha Vaka, and Gravastut. Very difficult names. Then the priest Udgata, who was from Samaveda, they had three assistants, Prastota, Pratiharta, Subramanya. The priest who used to represent Yajurveda, Adṛḍhā, they used to have three assistants, Prati Prasthata, Nesta, and Unneta. Nesta, Unneta. And finally, Brahma had three assistants, Brahmana Charshni, Agnidhra, and Pota. Okay, Pota. And all of these assistant priests, they used to have their specific duties. Okay. If you are interested, I can send you more about what each assistant was assigned to do. Okay. But not of much relevance. So the mantra says that a ritual performed by these 18 people, but which did not have spiritual goal. That is why the word the mantra has used is avaraṃ. Avaraṃ yeṣu karma. Avaraṃ means inferior. Inferior. This type of rituals, which is done with materialistic goal alone, is inferior. If the spiritual goal is present, then it is not inferior. In this type of fire rituals where there is no spiritual goal, but someone is performing the ritual only to go to heaven or to accomplish any other empirical goal, in that case, these rituals are fragile and temporary. The rituals are not fragile, but the material results that they promise are fragile and temporary. Fragile and temporary. And if anyone thinks that these rituals are the be all and end all, they are called mūḍhā. Mūḍhā. Mūḍhā means ignorant ones. They abhinandanti. They are elated. They become elated while doing these rituals. Why? They think that etat shreyo, this is the highest. What can be higher than this type of rituals? Nothing more is needed. But that is a mistake. That is a mistake. Why that is a mistake? Why that is a mistake? That this is the highest? There is nothing more?
Avidya, ignorance.
Ignorance is thinking that these are the highest. But that is a mistake, right? So why are not the highest?
Because it's not permanent.
Yes. They are not permanent. Okay. Once these, our punyam, right? Good merits will be exhausted someday, then we have to start again from where we left. So thinking that these are the highest is a mistake. And those who think that these are the highest, nothing more has to be achieved, they are called by the Upanishad a very strong word, mūḍhā, the fools, the ignorant ones. And what happened to them? That janma mrityum te puno eva opi yanti, undergo old age and death over and over again. These rituals don't lead to spiritual fulfillment. And according to the Upanishad, until we have spiritual fulfillment, until we have realized our spiritual nature, till then we have to be born again and again and continue the journey. The punyam, the heavenly currency that takes us to heaven, will be exhausted someday, and we have to return again to start from where we left. That is why it is not highest. These, even if they promise heaven, still it is not the highest, and thinking them to be highest is a great mistake. And how should we interpret it in our time? That if anyone thinks that worldly accomplishment is everything, then they are also making a mistake. That worldly accomplishment is everything, it will be a mistake. And what about the idea of to be born again and again? If I don't believe in rebirth, there is a slogan nowadays, YOLO. Have you heard YOLO? YOLO. Have you heard the slogan? YOLO. YOLO. It is very popular among the newer generations.
You
You
only
live,
live once.
you live.
You only live once. You only live once. YOLO. And I hear in the Silicon Valley, that is the main mantra now. You only live once. So break things. Break things, move fast, change the world, earn as much as possible in this life, and enjoy as much as you can, because YOLO, you only live once. And added to that, another phenomenon called FOMO, FOMO. Have you heard that, FOMO? You have not. It's very common now.
Is
Yes,
it fear of missing out?
missing out.
Fear of missing out. Yeah. So you add these two, and it's a dangerous combination. If you live only once, and if you are missing something, for example, Taylor Swift performed in Sunnyvale last year, and the tickets were sold in astronomical price. The reason was this, that you only live once, and you don't know Taylor Swift will perform here again or not. So you are missing out on a big event. So no matter whether the ticket price is at all logical or not, you don't try to miss it out. Okay, so that is a great source of stress in Silicon Valley. Okay, so what about, so the point was, if we don't believe in rebirth, if we believe that you only live once, then how would we interpret this mantra? This mantra says that rituals would not give the highest thing, and those who think that the heaven is the highest, they have to come back again and again. Now, how we should interpret it? How to explain death again and again? I think that we can interpret in this way, that without a spiritual outlook towards life, we shall encounter multiple deaths again and again, again and again. Okay, Any small mistake, any small failures will feel like devastating. We shall feel like we are dead. If we don't have a spiritual outlook to life, if we don't have a overall view, a broad view of life, then these materialistic accomplishments or materialistic success will matter a lot in our life. In that case, any failure will feel like a death. We shall feel like dead again and again. But whereas those who have a spiritual outlook towards life, they will also suffer from failures or setbacks, but they will be much more resilient. They will have the philosophy of life that these are challenges or minor setbacks. It does not mean my life is doomed. But if we have purely materialistic outlook towards life, then materialistic failures will give us a lot of elation. Just as the mantra said, they would think that nothing is etat shreyo, there is nothing better than this. At the same time, any failure will also appear to be like as dread as death. This is how we think we can interpret this mantra in our present time. Death again and again, that is, failures will feel like dead. So before the real death, we shall be dying again and again if there are materialistic failures, materialistic setbacks. Isha Upanishad, if you remember, mantra 3rd says that those who ignore their spiritual existence continue to live in a world of spiritual darkness. Asurya loka andheno tamasavritāḥ tamste pretva avigachanti yeke chatmo hanojanaha. And the Upanishad says that those who ignore their spiritual dimension, they are as if doing suicide. Atmohana. Atmahana means suicide. That is a spiritual suicide. That ignoring our spiritual dimension is like committing suicide. So in the same way, we can interpret this mantra that taking materialistic goals to be everything is just like committing a spiritual mistake. With a spiritual outlook, worldly failures won't matter much. We shall take them as temporary setback and we shall bounce back. And indeed, studies after studies in recent times have shown, social psychology or personal psychology, they have shown that spiritual people in general are more resilient to failures. So they would not take their failures, temporary failures, to be so badly that it is like death. So upshot of this mantra is, don't think that meeting materialistic goal is everything. Materialistic success, howsoever big it may be, is short-lived. Materialistic pursuit is the domain of lower knowledge, and this lower knowledge alone is not enough. For an enduring sense of fulfillment, spiritual pursuit is a must, and that's why higher knowledge, that is spirituality, interest in spirituality, spiritual life, life of sacredness, life of a sense of purpose, meaning is very much needed. And this is the upshot of the mantra. Are those goals mutually exclusive, material and spiritual, or can one have both? Yes, one can have both. A. One life philosophy can feel quite hopeless, and for some, the YOLO believers can lead to nihilism and so gives them license to do anything they want. Exactly. So make the distinction between goals in life and goal of life, right? Spiritual life and higher knowledge is the goal of life. Exactly, exactly. Any question about this mantra or any idea, please? Yes, Mrs. Karman. Unmute, just unmute yourself. I think you
Oh,
can.
there we go.
Mm.
There we go. I got it. So, Swami, all of this self-centeredness is going to lead to lots of karmic reverberations also in future lives, because you're going to be causing, I mean, we need to live by the principle of ahimsa, non-injury to others and ourselves. And so that material philosophy has the false illusion that we're not connected to other living beings, just to take care of ourselves, just pursue our own wishes. And the more ignorant we are of our connectedness to other people and living beings, the more harm we're going to do. And then that just causes more karma, just at a practical level. I just like to keep reminding us that there's a word in Pali from Buddhism called sila. And I'm sure you know that word, and that's ethical living. It's at the high ethical moral line. And it seems that I grew up in Silicon Valley and I didn't learn all of those new acronyms. But
no, these acronyms are new, relatively
yeah,
new.
yeah. But the karmic reverberations of pursuing only our own happiness and the illusion that we're just this little material self, you'll be causing a lot of harm to others, not only just to oneself. And it's just what I wanted to point out. Yeah.
Exactly. And it just reminds me that, even giving the example of Silicon Valley, that many companies know that their products are harming people, harmful to people, but they are putting profit over safety. It has been being proved again and again that they start some big company with some high goal. At first the stated goal is, connect the world or make the world a better place to live. With such high sounding goals, they start, but very soon they forget all of these ideals. Okay. And then when it is being pointed out and multiple research show that their products are harmful and they can easily modify in a way it will be less harmful, but it will be detrimental to their revenue. So they always place revenue, a higher value, over overall safety. Overall safety means people's life are being in danger because of their products. Okay. So the idea is this materialistic goal and what you said, that our profit matters most and others' life do not matter at all. Okay, not matter at all. Thanks for bringing that perspective in this mantra. Yes, Paul. Yes, unmute and say. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. Yeah, go ahead. Now you can unmute.
Okay. Just going off on this tangent a little bit more about Silicon Valley and ethics and so forth. And based on off what you last said, it reminded me that when Google first started, its motto was "Don't be evil." And just this week, Google fired 28 employees who had, had some sort of a grievance against
Mm,
Google's products being used to kill civilians in Gaza.
right, right.
So that is
Yeah.
an illustration of this ethical arc where they start with this lofty idea and then they end up on the
Uh,
wrong side of history.
oh, yes, yes. Totally, totally, totally. Yeah. By the way, I'm reading a book now, Barn book, Barn book by Kara Swisher. So she has been a journalist, tech journalist, since the beginning of Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley. So she knows everybody in and out since they were not even entrepreneurs. She knows them all. So this is the same idea she's relating again and again. All these giants, techies, they start with, with rosy ideas, but ultimately all of them succumb to revenue, and their companies really can become very evil indeed. Yes, Google fired employees, yes. Can they help themselves, or are they just where their minds are at, unable to change until they elevate spiritually over time? Exactly so. Exactly so. Exactly so. The point is, even if they take these safety measures that across the board, people, scientists, psychologists, social scientists, even their own employees have advocated, if they take these safety measures, they will still be earning a lot. Still, they will be a very profitable business, but they want more and more, more and more. Okay. And that is what leads to problem, because they are thinking that materialistic gain is everything. There cannot be any other bigger, larger gain. So it is so. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the change implies freedom of will. How much freedom do we really have? How much freedom do we really have? Yeah, that's a good question, of course, how much freedom we really have. But in the same token, we have quite a bit of freedom to choose. And because of that only, we need scriptures like the Upanishads, which will remind us again and again the value of spiritual goals, and reminding us again and again that materialistic goals are not everything. Okay. So freedom, it's a good question. I may go tangent, but recently a book has come from a Stanford neuroscientist, Robert Sapolsky, Determined. In that book, he wants to argue that we really don't have anything called free will. Everything is determined by our biology, our genetics, our childhood experiences, the climate and culture, everything. But at the same time, I was thinking that maybe this idea of we may not have absolute freedom or free will, but we have an illusion of free will, and which is necessary, and which we can exercise. This, even the illusion of free will, we can exercise. Okay. So for example, you ask the question how we can change. So if suppose these tech entrepreneurs take time and reflect on these Upanishads, they would not, probably, they are too busy to do, then probably it may dawn upon them at some time, it might dawn upon them that there are higher values, right? So this is called culture. Culture is what? That which is not biological, but which is learned. learn through values, books from other people. So they can also, if they want, they can also become more considerate about other people. To give an example, I don't know whether it will be okay or not. Bill Gates at some time was totally into revenue and profit, but towards, but he later on shifted his entire goal to charity and having positive impact on the world in a large scale and in doable scale. So he, for example, he single-handedly eradicated many diseases like polio. If a single person is responsible for eradication of polio from African countries or some underdeveloped countries, it is Bill Gates and their foundation. Enormous work they have done, okay, because they have now find the goal of life, shifted their goal of life in having real positive impact of life. Okay, so we have freedom. Okay, so this is the point I was trying to make. All right. So yes. Oh, just a minute. I unmuted. Shuvash, go ahead.
Does anybody do this 18 rituals with 18 priests nowadays? Even in India?
What?
Does
Yeah. Yes, of course. For example, when in our ashramas, Ramakrishna Math and Mission ashramas, when a new temple is dedicated, they have a yajñashala pavilion, and they invite all these traditional 16 ritiks, okay, to do a homa. That homa is not for materialistic goal, it is a vastu homa, okay, a homa, a fire ceremony for a temple consecration. There is an entire type of homa or yajna which is meant to be done before consecration of any important monuments like a temple or something. So in many of our centers, they do the day before the temple consecration, they have such large scale yajna going on from sunrise to sunset, where 16 priests are doing their yajnas. Okay, so there are people available till now. Some priests live in Varanasi, but mostly they are from South India, Kerala. Preeti ji, please.
Pranam Maharaj.
Yes.
Just on the subject of this freedom, how much freedom do we have? It just reminded me of the parable of Sri Ramakrishna, where he talks about a cow being tied to a post, and it has only that it can only graze in that circle around that post. But if it exhausts all the grass in that, the farmer may extend the rope and give it a bigger area. I just
Yes.
to my mind.
So yes. So that means we have freedom or free will to some extent. That is the point, right? We have free will to some extent. All right. So let's move on.
Swamiji.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that, on the topic of the yajñas, when we had gone to perform the immersion of the ashes for my mother, and then we went to do the Gaya Shradam, I met a priest who had come with his relatives to do all those rituals. And when I had told him that, we were doing Upanishadic studies, he said, "Oh, then you will understand the reason why we do all this is not for the actual ritual itself. There is that aspect, but in the process of doing those rituals, maybe for a fleeting moment, you might realize that we are not just this body, this mind, this intellect. We're like something beyond all of that. And you will get that for a moment, and that's what you need. It'll go away as you get back to your transactional world. But that those fleeting moments of realizing that you're part of that eternal consciousness is what you need to tap into all the time. And the priests and these ceremonies provide the platform for you to make that realization. And some people just do it for sake of rituals, but actually the hope is that in the doing of these rituals, that realization will dawn upon the people, which I thought was very similar to the point you were making, that, you have these elaborate rituals that are conducted, but as you're doing it, you should keep in mind that there is the real purpose for that is also for you to have that realization.
Right. Exactly. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So let's move on to the next mantra. Next mantra is very popular one, oft quoted. The sad conditions of those who think that a material goal is the supreme. Mantra 1.2.8. Avidyāyām antare vartamānāḥ svayaṁ dhīrāḥ paṇḍitaṃ manyamānāḥ jaṅghanyamānāḥ pariyanti mūḍhā andhenaiva nīyamānā yathāndhāḥ. So, being amidst ignorance and considering themselves intelligent and learned, the ignorant wander, afflicted with troubles, like blind led by the blind. So this is very interesting, and it is so oft quoted very often. We use it. Some time ago, last year, when Sarvapriyanandaji came, and we had arranged a talk for him in the Sacramento State University, and I drove him there. And while coming back, my GPS was showing a route which was longer routes than the usual. And so I was driving, Sarvapriyanandaji was behind me, and Swami Prapandanandaji was at the back seat. And since it was a longer route, so Prapandanandaji told that andhenaiva niyata yathāndhāḥ, that is, Google is itself blind and leading another blind, that is meaning me. Google was making me fool by taking through a longer route. So this is so awfully quoted verse, has become so much part of our culture. Andhenaiva niyata yathāndhāḥ. So yes, steeped in spiritual ignorance, not knowing the value of spirituality, these people, those who continue to think that materialistic goal is everything. So they continue to live in that kind of ignorance, illusion, and they might have many academic degrees though, but actually they are living in that kind of world, that kind of fantastic world where they think that materialistic goal is everything. And not only that, svayaṁ dhīrāḥ paṇḍitaṃ manyamānāḥ. They think that they are the real intelligent people. They are the learned ones, and therefore they tell everyone, you don't have to advise me. They think they are the visionaries of the future. Others are not understanding them, what their future plan is, This book again, that book I referred to, she is referring to that they think some of these tech giants, they think that they are saviors of the world. People don't know what vision, what they can achieve, what we can achieve. People don't understand, but they can see the future very clearly. They are the true visionaries of the world. So that kind of arrogance also, it kinds of become arrogance. Not only that, because of this arrogance, what happens when people point out to their faults, or government takes some action to control their companies, they always play the victim card, grievances, okay, that we are the victims of others' ignorance, okay, people's ignorance, and we are the victims. So they think svayaṁ dhīrāḥ paṇḍitas manyamānāḥ. They think we know the best, and therefore they think about, that those who are into spirituality and those who don't want to move fast and break the world. So move fast, break the world. Why I am saying this was the mantra of Mark Zuckerberg. Okay, it was the tagline in the Facebook headquarters. If you have visited, they have written this mantra everywhere. Move fast, break things. Okay. So they think that those who don't subscribe to this philosophy, that do revenue and things like that, change, fix things, and there cannot be any other things, they think that any other type of goal is actually very wrong, or it is foolishness to pursue any other goal. For example, Swami Vivekananda, when in his wandering days, he walked through the length and breadth of India, and many people met him, and some educated people, kings and influential people, many people told him that you are such a talented person, such a learned person. Why are you wasting your life in the pursuit of God, in the pursuit of spirituality? It is sheer waste of talents, and you're all learning that you are wasting your time in being a monk and pursuing spiritual goals. So this is what they think, that svayaṁ dhīrāḥ, we are the ones who are the really intelligent people, and they think that we are the learned ones. And so but what happened to them? Jaṅghanyamānāḥ pariyanti. They wander from place to place. That is, in search of pleasure. In search of pleasure, they move from one place to another. So in the terms of in the context of rituals, so they think that ritual will give us the highest benefit, but at last, heaven term will be over, they have to come back. So it is moving from one place to another. In our context, we may say that moving from one place to another means in search of pleasure. In search of pleasure, you take up this project, then that project, this project, that project. So never-ending projects. Because to them, these accomplishments are everything. And so they keep on moving from place to place. That is, they in search of pleasure, but being afflicted with worldliness, knocking about from one place to another in search of money, fame, pleasure, but it is actually, if we look from outside, it is a sorry state of affairs, is not it? That they are afflicted as such. They are afflicted, they are in trouble, but they are moving from place to place in search of these ephemeral things. And it is just like andhenaiva nīyamānā yathāndhāḥ. Just imagine the plight of a group of blind people led by another blind person. They will all run into trouble. Similarly, here one blind is leading to other blinds. The question is, which is one blind that is leading other blinds? What do you think? Who is the blind leading other blind?
The priest leading the practitioners.
Yeah. Okay. Any other idea?
Those who propagate this kind of philosophy that the material is the be all and end all.
Right. Yes. I also think like that. Upanishad had that idea in mind, that the hedonistic philosophy is the blind. The philosophy that enjoyment is everything. This hedonistic philosophy is the blind, and it is leading other blinds, those who are follower of this hedonistic philosophy. Okay. And priests, I don't know what to say about them, whether they are responsible for these or not. I don't think they themselves propagate or advertise that keep doing these rituals. Okay, they are probably more instrumental in carrying out the things. Okay, so I would rather say that hedonistic philosophy itself is the blind philosophy, and those who are following, they are the blind. Those who only target getting punaḥ to go to other lokas, yes, exactly. So it is just like blinds leading other blind people, right? All right. They will run into trouble. This is the idea. Okay, and the same idea is further, reiterated in the next mantra. We can take that up because it is almost same. Okay, let's take that one too. The plight of the materialistic people. Avidyāyām bahudha vartamānāḥ vayam kritarthaḥ iti abhinandanti bālaḥ yat karmino na pravedayanti rāgat tena āturaḥ shinolokaḥ chavante. Continuing diversely amidst ignorance, the unenlightened ones proudly think we have attained everything. As these materialistic people do not learn the truth because of their attachment, they become afflicted with sorrow. After the fruits of their karma are exhausted, they fall from heaven. They fall from heaven. So this is in the same idea, that continuing to wallow in the wallowing in the idea of the ignorance diversely. So here a new word has been used, mūḍhā. In different ways they continue to live amidst ignorance, in many ways. That is, they keep on pursuing one materialistic goal after another to satisfy their ever increasing desires. That is, they are not only happy with accomplishing one materialistic goals, but they, again, what is the term for diversification? Diversification. They diverse their interest in many other projects, or that is all materialistic pursuit, not one materialistic pursuit. They take up, after being successful in one materialistic pursuit, they take up many more other ones. They do not remain happy in one pursuit. And they proudly think we have attained everything. They falsely think that there is nothing more to attain. But point is, every enjoyment also has its negative sides. Every enjoyment, at least three. One is, it takes a lot of effort and time to accomplish material goals. Number two, even after accomplishing those goals, their joy or charm is short-lived. Short-lived. 3 months. 3 months. It has been proved. Any joy of materialistic goal, getting anything new, remain 3 months at the most. Okay. And then third drawback is, we need to accomplish more to get the same pleasure. This is a common pattern, a pattern in pursuit of materialistic goals. This is a pattern that we put a lot of effort into achieving something. After achieving that, the joy is gone in a short time. Then third, we need to exert more to get some joy, or even the same level of joy. We need to again exert more, just like addiction, addiction. We need more and more of the same thing to get the same high, same enjoyment. Okay, this is a pattern. But materialistic people never learn this truth. Never learn this truth. They don't recognize the pattern. They keep on repeating the same mistake over and over again. And what is the result? They become afflicted with sorrow. They become afflicted with sorrow. Indeed, some of the very successful people have miserable personal lives, miserable. They might have relationship problem. They have problem with comparing with others who are more wealthy, more successful than them. Then they have a constant fear of losing their wealth, constant fear of losing their status. This is definitely a great affliction, great affliction. They are afflicted with sorrow if they don't have any spiritual goal in their mind. In that case, all of these will become secondary, not having so much of importance in their life. And after the fruits of their karma are exhausted, they fall from heaven. That is, no material gain is permanent. One day, all the joys will come to an end. They will come to an end, and it will be just like falling from heaven, falling from heaven. So bottom line of this mantra is, don't ignore the spiritual goal. Don't ignore the spiritual goal. Keep that bright and shining. Otherwise, all these problems will come. That is, the Upanishad tried to say, let us contextualize that, yes, the rituals can give you result. One thing is, to get the result, you have to do everything very meticulously, very meticulously. And second is, their materialistic results are temporary. The gains that you will get are short-lived. Even such a thing called heaven is not also permanent. Rather, then focus on your spiritual goal to have a permanent satisfaction in life. Next, the Upanishad will praise a life that seeks spiritual goal, that we shall see in our next class, which will be on 10th May. 10th May. So I'll be visiting New York and Boston for 2 weeks. And during these 2 weeks, it will not be possible for me to conduct the classes because of their timing. And I also have quite a bit engagements over there, New York Vedanta Society and Boston. So we shall meet next on 10th May. 10th May. In the meantime, I will encourage you to write down in 1 or 2 paragraphs in your own words what you have learned from the Upanishad so far. Okay. And share that write-up with me by email, or when we meet next, you can share with the entire class. This is not a mandatory. Again, it is a voluntary thing, but I will encourage you, even if you don't like to share with others, but take time to go through the mantras. Okay, individual mantras, try to understand the meaning, essence of the mantras, then try to see the big picture of the mantras that we have covered so far. And do you see a pattern? Do you see where the Upanishad is going? Okay, in your own language. Can you write it down in your own language after going through all of this? So that will be a good exercise, homework for all of you until we meet on 10th May. Okay, 10th May. All right, so you have any question about these 2 mantras that we covered?
I have a question.
Yes, yes.
So I actually missed one last Friday, but the point of actually teaching the enormous rigor of what are those things? The
Rituals.
rituals. Why is he even bringing that up when he's wanting to know what is it that I need to know by which I will know everything? It almost seemed like you got to do all these rituals and do it perfectly. If you didn't do it perfectly, then it's not going to work. And it takes an enormous amount of time explaining something, which to me seems like still, granted, the goal is high, but it's still not the ultimate because it is still asking for something. I'm not sure
All
what
right.
the point is.
Why? Yes, exactly. Good, you asked this question. First of all, Upanishad did not take much time. It only took 6 verses. It took a lot of time for us to decode. Okay. Upanishad said all of this in 3-4 mantras. Okay. So time we spent to understand. And the idea was, remember, it was composed at a time when these rituals were rampant. The Upanishads were composed or revealed, written down, or conceived, whatever you may say, but at a time when rituals were rampant. Okay, so after say 100 years, someone suppose is watching this video and we are talking about Silicon Valley. Maybe after 50 years, Silicon Valley is no more. That person may ask the same question, that why they spend 30 minutes of time speaking Silicon Valley, whereas Silicon Valley is nothing. Silicon Valley exists in history now. Okay. This is the thing, and this is the historical context. But the real context is the teacher wants to inform the student every aspect. Okay, the lower knowledge is promise. At the same time, what is the downside of lower knowledge, or how lower knowledge is not sufficient in our life. Okay, that can be said in a sentence. That can be said in a sentence. Look, this lower domain cannot give you everything. But it is one thing to give an idea and another thing to explain the idea in details. In details, that why these rituals, which are the domain of lower knowledge, although seem promising. So the teacher pointed out the good things, that how you will be accorded great welcome, and how these rituals helped people in the past. It can give you result too. Okay, so nuanced, not in black and white that these rituals are no good. There are good things in them, but remember the fine prints that you have to do them perfectly. Number two, even if they have high promises, but the results are temporary. Okay, so to give a full picture, he is taking some time to explain all about the domain of the rituals, or which is a representative of the domain of lower knowledge. Okay, lower knowledge.
But he doesn't really say explicitly that this is also lower knowledge, as he did before in the first, when we started. There was a clear definition of two types of knowledge. The book learning was defined as lower knowledge, at least that was my understanding. But the ritualistic learning is not clearly defined as lower knowledge, but implied that it is lower knowledge.
Yeah, he defined lower knowledge as Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Sama Veda, all the auxiliaries Vedas, that is all their contents, their contents. And higher knowledge is what? That which takes one to that Purusha, that is the infinite. So anything other than which takes us to infinite is lower knowledge. Okay, and from the context, it is very clear that these rituals is the domain of lower knowledge. Lower knowledge, if there is no spiritual goal present in them. Okay, if it is done only for materialistic goal, then it becomes the domain of lower knowledge. Okay. So, to answer briefly to your question, the Upanishad did not take too much of time to show the limited nature of rituals, limited results of rituals. It is we who took so much of time.
Thank you very much.
Right. Yeah, you are welcome. Also, the lower knowledge prepares us for higher knowledge, right? Lower knowledge prepares us for higher knowledge, right? That is also a point. When someone will be done with all of this and seen through them, then there may be a natural desire for seeking the higher. Okay, so I may tell someone, don't seek materialistic goals. Spiritual goal is the real goal. But saying something and also having really experiencing all of this has two values, right? They may say that you are just discouraging us, but the teacher is bringing out the entire gamut, that nuanced. There are good side and bad side also. You should know all of it so that you now seek. You know that this is the domain, this is the gain we can get from lower knowledge, but this is what I gain from higher knowledge. And at the very beginning, he told that both the knowledge needs to be acquired. Both the knowledge need to be acquired. Okay, you cannot just keep lower knowledge. For most of us, we have to go through all the both the things. All right. Then see you on 10th May. Okay. And if you like, please write down your ideas about what we have learned so far and share with others or send me by email. I will appreciate that. Okay. Let's conclude saying Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.